these stretches are really helpful if you're typing, working with your hands all day, typing, of course, driving as well. We tend to have really overdeveloped outer arm muscles, not so developed on the inside, but other than that we can often get really quite tense and tight, and there's lots of nerves as well that run through the arms that are then function in the fingers, and you know, it can have a knock-on effect if there's any tightness around this area in the body. So I will get started right away. You can do this on your desk. Oh, let's check you can see me. So you could do this leaning on a desk, or like I am, just on a chair or a stool or something. And what we want, you could even do it on all fours, but we're going to bring the wrists underneath the shoulders. Turn myself around a bit, that's it. Wrists underneath the shoulders, leaning the weight forward and just circle the weight around. So you're going to feel the weight change through the different areas in your hands as you come forward in the fingers, obviously to the sides. You'll feel it in the sides, and as you're coming at the back of the circle, the heel of the hand, and then just go back in the opposite direction. So this is a little warm up for the stretches that I'm going to show you. So bringing movement into the wrists. That's it. And then coming back to the centre, I'll go right hand first. Doesn't really matter which hand you do first. So I've just turned the palm up, and that's the stretch. Palm turn up, fingertips pointing in. If it feels too intense, you can bend the elbow a little. If it's too intense, bend the elbow. If it's not too intense at all, you know, you could do both the hands together. Not putting too much weight through the arms. Maybe experiencing the stretch into the outside muscles of the arms. That's it, holding just for maybe like 5 or 6 rounds of breath, and then we'll turn the palms back down, so palms are facing forwards. And then we're going, rather than pointing the palms in, turn the palms out so they're facing away from each other. And again, if it's too intense, with this one, you wouldn't bend the elbow because that's going to increase the stretch. But if it is too intense, come a bit more in towards the midline to decrease your stretch, or away from the midline to decrease the stretch. So we got the wrist underneath the shoulder. If it's too much, you can bring the wrist out to the side of the shoulder. If you would like more stretch, then you could bring the hand closer into the midline. But we're starting underneath the shoulder. Palm turned up, fingers turned out. Same on the other side. So wrist underneath the shoulder. And if the stretch is too intense, we're moving the hand out and out of alignment with the shoulder. There you go. And then you come closer in to the midline to just find where it feels good. So we don't want it to feel too rigid or tight at all. So we've had fingers pointing in, palms, fingertips pointing in, fingertips pointing out. I'm going to turn the palms up again and have the fingers facing forwards this time. So palms up, fingers facing forwards. With this one, if we want less stretch, you'll bring the hand forward in front of the shoulder joint. So rather than underneath, you can bring the wrist forward of the shoulder joint, or for more stretch, you could bring the arm closer in towards your body. Again, if it's too intense with the 2 palms turned up, then you can do one at a time. Bringing the hands back down. And then doing the same with the palms, fingertips even, facing in towards the body. That's it. And you'll feel this anywhere through the muscles in the lower arms. Just a couple of more breaths. And then I'm going to gently take the pressure out of the hand. So we've stretched and rotated and moved the muscles in all those different ways, and then to kind of ease out a little bit more, if we can interlace the fingers together, and I am just going to create a figure of 8. So keep the fingers really soft and move quite gently with the wrists. They may feel a little tender after the stretch, you know, they're quite a neglected part of the body. We rarely stretch out and mobilize in this way, this part of the body. And you know, we've got all this range of motion within the wrists, and we probably hardly use a lot of that motion. So when we move a bit more mindfully in this way, this helps to keep all of our, you know, the ligaments and the muscles flowing and moving a bit more smoothly. So we're doing that figure of 8, round in one direction, back round in the opposite direction. This is quite a good coordination exercise. One way, figure of 8, back the other way, figure of 8, which can be a little tricky. And then just give your fingers a little shake out. And that should go some way to keeping your hands and your fingers and your wrists and all the muscles in the lower arm quite healthy and maybe strong as well. So when you need to open up those stiff jaws, you've got the power.